Breaking news, a young mother who was just days away from giving birth was shot and killed this morning while in her own bed.
She was 9 months pregnant, asleep in her own bed, with her babies on either side of her, and somebody walked up to her window in the dark and fired a dozen bullets straight through the glass. She never even had a chance to run. Her name was Shakiya Pridgen. She was 23 years old. Her baby shower was the Sunday before. She was due to give birth in 2 weeks. Her son already had a name, Kyren. She already had a nursery in her head, a future built in her heart. And on a Tuesday morning before 6 a.m., all that was taken from her, while her 1-year-old and her 3-year-old lay right there next to her. Let me tell you everything about this case, because I need you to understand not just what happened, but how it was allowed to happen. Because this is not just a murder story. This is a story about a system that handed a killer a second chance and gave Shakiya nothing. Before I go any further, if you are watching this and you have never subscribed to Mystoracrimes, please do it right now. Not for me, for Shakiya, for every woman whose story gets buried before justice is served. When you subscribe and hit that bell, you are telling the algorithm that these lives matter, that we are not going to look away. Every single bell notification is one more person who will hear her name. So hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it means everything.
Hello? Danye, this Liddy. Why y'all didn't pull up? And that concludes the Liddy.
Now, let me take you back to the beginning. Shakiya Pridgen grew up in Georgia. By all accounts from people who loved her, she was warm, she was soft-hearted, she was the kind of person who made the room feel lighter just by being in it. Her father, Paco Pridgen, described her as a loving, sweet, caring person with a good heart.
Loving, sweet, caring person with a good heart.
Those words are not just grieving parent words. They are consistent across everyone who spoke about her publicly. Her mother, Verdina Scott, talked about how Shakiya was doing everything right. She had just gotten her first apartment. On her own, by herself, for her and her children. She was going to church. She was raising her kids. She was building something.
She had a whole life to live ahead of her. She was raising her children. She just moved into her first apartment by herself. She wanted to get married, settle down. She was going to church every day. She was doing everything a mother was supposed to do.
Somebody took a blessing from all of us, and we will get justice.
Think about what that takes. A 23-year-old woman, pregnant with her third child, setting up her first independent home, attending church, keeping her baby safe. That is not a woman falling apart. That is a woman who had made a decision about the kind of life she wanted. She wanted to get married. She wanted to settle down. She had a vision. And just a few days before she died, she celebrated her baby shower. She had a registry up for Kyren. She had chosen his name. She was ready. That Sunday, people who love her celebrated the life she was bringing into the world. By Tuesday morning, she was gone. Now, here is where we need to start asking questions. Because Shakiya's family did not believe this was random. From the very beginning, from the moment they spoke to reporters on the day she died, they were clear this was targeted. Whoever did this knew her, knew where she lived, knew which window, knew which room, knew that she would be in that bed at that hour. Think about what that means. Approximately a dozen shots, fired through a bedroom window at 5:45 in the morning. Not a stray bullet, not crossfire, not a robbery gone wrong. Somebody came to that specific window, at that specific time, and opened fire with intent, with precision. Her 2 babies were right there, a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, both physically unharmed. But as her mother said, they are not okay. How could they be? They don't fully understand what they witnessed, but their little nervous systems felt it. They heard it. They lost their mother in that bed next to them. So who would do this? Who comes to a pregnant woman's bedroom window before sunrise and fires a dozen shots? The family already had a name in mind. Devin Anthony, 26 years old. And this is where this story stops being just a tragedy and starts being something that should make every single one of us angry. Here is what we know about Devin Anthony, because court records made it very clear. In September of 2021, A Fulton County grand jury indicted him on charges of murder, felony murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. This was in connection with the shooting death of a man named Ronald Barner, a real man, somebody's son, somebody's person. Anthony was indicted for murder in 2021. Now, I want you to hold that in your mind for a moment. A grand jury looked at the evidence and said, yes, this man should be charged with murder. That is not a small thing. That is a formal legal determination that there is probable cause to believe this man killed someone. So what happened next? In November 2024, 3 years later, Anthony struck a plea deal. Under Georgia's First Offender Act, the murder charge was reduced to voluntary manslaughter, and a judge sentenced him to 20 years, with only 11 months to actually serve in prison. The remaining 19 years? Probation, 11 months for killing a man. And then it gets worse, because this is not even the end of the failures. In February of 2026, just 4 months before Shakiya was murdered, a court found that Anthony had violated his probation. He had tested positive for THC. And what did the court do? They revoked his probation for 60 days. 60 days. And ordered him to enroll in anger management classes within 30 days of his release. Anger management classes. That is the system's response to a man with a prior murder plea, violating probation, with a pregnant ex-girlfriend, 60 days and an anger management course. Shakiya's mother said it plainly. He got a second chance. Shakiya doesn't get a second chance. And her father said something that I cannot stop thinking about. I don't understand if you murder somebody, you just get probation. Neither do I, Paco. Neither do the rest of us. Now here's the part of the story that cuts the deepest psychologically. Because Devin Anthony was not just a man with a criminal history who happened to live near Shakiya. According to her family, he was her ex-boyfriend. And more than that, he was the father of Kyren, the baby she was about to give birth to, the baby who died with her. Let that land for a second. The man accused of firing those bullets through her window was the father of the child in her womb, the child who had already been named, the child who had a baby shower on Sunday. That baby had a father, and that father allegedly became his killer before he was even born. This changes the psychological frame of this entire case completely, because now we are not looking at a random act of violence. We are looking at what Shakiya's family has called a targeted act of domestic violence. And if that framing is accurate, and the family believes it is, then we have asked the questions that nobody in positions of authority apparently asked before this happened. What was the dynamic between Shakiya and Devin Anthony? Was she trying to leave? Was there tension around pregnancy? Around custody? Around the future? Because here is what we know about intimate partner violence. The most dangerous moment for a woman in an abusive relationship is often when she tries to build a life without the person who has been controlling her. Shakiya had just gotten her first apartment, by herself. She was doing church. She was becoming independent. If there was a controlling dynamic at play, every step she took toward her own freedom could have read as a threat to someone who needed to dominate. We do not know for sure what their relationship looked like in the months before her death, but the family's belief that this was deliberate, domestic, targeted, is consistent with a pattern we see again and again in cases like this. And here's what haunts me. A man with a murder plea on his record, on probation, had access to this woman and her children. The court knew about the probation violation in February. The anger management order was issued, and yet 4 months later, Shakiya Pridgen is dead with her unborn son, and her 2 surviving babies are left without a mother. After the shooting, DeKalb County Sheriff Melody Maddox partnered with the U.S. Marshals Service and tracked Anthony to a home in Riverdale, Georgia, the 1200 block of Quail Hunt Drive. He was arrested the same day as the shooting. He appeared in court the following day, Wednesday, June 18th. He is currently held without bond, charged with malice murder, feticide, aggravated assault with intent to murder, criminal damage to property, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. That last charge, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, is crucial because under his prior plea deal and probation terms, Anthony was not supposed to have a gun, and yet someone fired a dozen bullets through Shakiya Pridgen's bedroom window with one. So I want to ask you, the person watching this right now, something that I think matters beyond this case. At what point does the system become complicit? At what point does a plea deal that converts murder to manslaughter a sentence 11 months, a probation violation handled with 60 days in a class? At what point does that chain of decisions become a contributing cause of a death? Shakiya's family is asking that question loudly, and they deserve an answer. And I want to ask you something more personal. When you look at this case, at the Sunday baby shower, at the first apartment, at the church attendance, at the 2 babies in that bed, what do you see? Do you see a woman who was failed by the people who were supposed to protect her? Do you see a pattern that you have heard before? Have you known someone whose story looked like this before it ended? Because cases like this do not happen in a vacuum. They happen after warning signs, after violations, after chances that were given to the wrong person, while the person who needed protection got nothing. Shakiya Pridgen deserved protection. Kyren deserved to be born. Her children deserved their mother. And what they got instead was a Tuesday morning that will mark the rest of their lives. Justice has not been fully served yet. A trial is ahead. The full truth of what led to that window on that morning with those bullets, that truth may yet come out in the courtroom. But right now, today, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Do you think the system failed Shakiya? Do you think the plea deal in the Barner case contributed directly to her death? And what do you think justice actually looks like here? Not just for crime itself, but for the failures that made it possible. This is a conversation Mystoracrimes exists to have. Not just crime, the system around crime, the people inside it, the ones who survive and the ones who don't. If this story moved you, subscribe to Mystoracrimes right now. Hit the bell so you never miss a case. Share this video so Shakiya's name keeps traveling. Leave a comment with your thoughts. We read them. We respond. We are a community built on the belief that every story deserves to be told until justice is real. Rest in peace, Shakiya. Rest in peace, Kyren. You are not forgotten here.